from the Fox 5 studios. This is Silver State Sports Live.
Well, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. We're getting our jig on here in the Silver State Sports studio. This is Silver State Sports Live. I'm Mike Davis, and I'm ready for a Guinness, MJ.
I am too. I'm Mariah, Janos. We're gearing up for postseason play in college basketball, and it goes beyond the big dance. But before we get to it, I'm not just wearing green for the holiday, okay? It's also for our major announcement today. Fox 5 and SSSEN are going all in on the green and gold once again this season, as we are proud partners with the Athletics and will be airing 20 regular season games.
Coverage begins with opening day on March 27th. The club is on the road in Toronto to kick things off against the reigning American League champs. But for a full list of all the games, just go to our website, fox5vegas.com.
And fresh off his time in Arizona with the A's for spring training, our Fox 5 sports director, Kevin Bolinger. Kevin, it's great to see you. Thanks for joining us here in studio. First of all, I just want to get your overall impressions of this squad that you just spent the week with.
They are ready to go. They're young, they're hungry. They're going to be a very offensive team. We know that. The big question mark is pitching, but this is a group that's very tight-knit because I think of their youth, and they've all been in there together, and I think you're going to see that kind of parlay onto the field from the culture standpoint in the locker room.
Now, Kev, you know, there's so much depth on this team. It's a really deep team, a really young team, but only 26 guys can actually be on a big league roster. So how is that going to positively impact the Aviators here at Las Vegas Ballpark?
Well, it should trickle down to make the Aviators a super strong team because the A's do have depth, especially at their position groups. You look at their infield and outfield depth. Those are the players that are going to work their way down to play at Las Vegas Ballpark for Fran Reardon and the Aviators this year. The guys that maybe need just a little bit more seasoning. And as we all know, there's a lot of transactions that happen during the year. So some of these players are going to go up and down between Sacramento and Las Vegas. But it should be a really good, strong squad to start the year. And then we'll see how the injury bug plays out in terms of the Aviators long term. But it worked out really well for them last year, winning the first half of that strong team. I think they're going to be even stronger this year.
Yeah, I mean, what was so impressive last year was the squad that they went to the PCL or won the PCL championship with was a completely different roster than we saw that clinched that first half. So very cool stuff on the horizon there. Now, I know we're a couple years out from the A's officially being here in Las Vegas, but did you talk to them about how they feel about the move? What was the overall impression you got?
Yeah, they're getting hyped, and they're paying attention. You would think that, you know, maybe their focus is on everything else, and it is. It's on the baseball, but they're watching the drone video. They're watching the stadium go up. They're seeing the stories on that. A lot of them came to Las Vegas in the offseason, whether it was Soderstrom or Jacob Wilson signing their contracts here, but a lot of them just on their own with their buddies and their family to try and get a feel for the vibe of the city. And while they, of course, are saying that their focus is on this season and then in 27 as well, they can't wait for 28 to happen, and they can't wait to be here in Las Vegas. And with the way the A's are signing their young players to these long-term contracts, this core group is going to be in their prime and at their best as they hit Vegas in 2028. Yeah. So it should be a really exciting time for everybody.
I was going to ask you about that, Kev. So, I mean, we did see all the guys a few of the guys come to town, take a picture in front of the Las Vegas sign. So that was cool to see. But two predictions I want to ask you about, because you can just take this however you want to take it. But the Nick Kurtz contract, does he end up signing that contract? And do you think they can make the playoffs this season, the Athletics?
All right, first off, Nick Kurtz, they are working on a deal with his people and the A's. I asked Nick Kurtz about that. He said that, you know, he's going to let those people handle that. He's going to focus on the baseball thing, and when it happens, it happens.
Good answer.
He's not going to put that over his head that it has to be done before the season starts or it has to be done before the All-Star break. They can see, the players know that the organization is signing these young players, so I don't think there's a worry there. It's just about coming to the right terms, and that's what you pay an agent and an attorney for, to handle all that stuff. So I don't think there's any worries there. Nick Kurtz is going to be an Athletic for a very, very long time. They're not going to let him get away. And in terms of this season, you know, they've improved the last couple of years record-wise. They're slowly inching their way up. So I think that it's reasonable to say they're going to be above 500. I think that if the pitching holds up, they could contend for a wild card spot. And that's the big question, of course, is the pitching and the arms. But because they have some of those young pitchers that are going to be in Las Vegas to start the season with the Aviators, if they produce there, if they do have any type of issues, in Sacramento with the big league club, then they can take some of these young guys and see what they can do at the big league level. So they will compete. They will be in competition late in the season for a wild card spot. That would be my prediction.
Okay, I love it. A lot of meaningful baseball. Plus, we also got covering the bases with the A's coming up this week on Fox 5 and the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. So, Kev, we're going to be talking a lot of A's baseball.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Yes, so are we. Thank you so much, Kev. We appreciate your time. All right, still to come on Silver State Sports Live. The Runnin' Rebels are gearing up for round 1 of the NIT tonight. We'll send it out to Irvine, California to check in with our Paloma Villicana ahead of tip-off.
And don't forget, the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network is your home for the most local and live sports. This week, you can catch UNLV softball as they take on Utah Tech. That's today at 4 p.m. Plus, the Desert Dogs and Rochester are going to square off Saturday at 7. And then UNLV softball again on Sunday as they welcome San Diego State. That's all right here on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network.
You're watching Silver State Sports Live.
All right, welcome back to Silver State Sports Live. March Madness is almost here. And while the Runnin' Rebels might not be playing in the big dance, Mariah, they're still set for some good old NIT action.
We love the NIT, and our very own Paloma Villicana is in Irvine, California, as UNLV prepares to take on UC Irvine tonight in round 1 of the NIT. Tip-off is at 8 p.m. Thank you so much for joining us, PV. What went into the decision by the team to decide to play in the NIT?
Hey, Mike and Mariah, we're on the road with the Runnin' Rebels in beautiful Southern California, getting set for an 8 p.m. tip-off tonight at UC Irvine. Yes, the NIT news was shocking for Rebel Nation and shocking to the men's basketball team. Josh Pastner told us he even had players going home, checked out, driving home. The season was over, and they all turned around to UNLV, getting set to play one more game against UC Irvine. Josh Pastner told us this is a huge opportunity for his young squad, his first-year squad, to get more reps, get more experience against a very good UC Irvine team. So these guys are really excited to play more ball. Dre Gibbs, Lawhorn, Tyron Jones, all excited, they say, to win the NIT championship this year.
All right, I love that. Paloma, what challenges will the Anteaters present tonight for Josh Pastner's squad?
It'll be a 40-minute fight on the road at UC Irvine tonight. Coach Pastner shared his respect for Russell Turner. UC Irvine is a postseason team. The head coach there, Russell Turner, has led his squad to 9 postseason appearances in his 15 years at the helm. It'll be a defensive test again. Dre Gibbs Lawhorn says he was out of rhythm in the Mountain West Conference tournament. Not Dre's game in the tourney. Now these guys are rolling into this matchup with a chip on their shoulder. Dre says it is crucial for his guys to get in the paint and play off 2 feet tonight against UC Irvine. Last season, UC Irvine played in the NIT championship game and lost in overtime to Chattanooga. So it'll be a big matchup for the Runnin' Rebels. 8 p.m. tip-off. Everyone is here. There are no players missing, and the Runnin' Rebels are hungry to come out with a win and keep playing in the NIT tournament.
All right, thank you so much, PV. Now, from the hardwood to the gridiron, the Raiders can't seem to remove themselves from swirling rumors. The latest, as reports are stating that Vegas has interest in a veteran quarterback to pair with the assumed incoming top pick, Fernando Mendoza. Now, we've heard Derek Carr throw his name in the ring. Newly available free agent Kirk Cousins is being mentioned, but now there's another name being thrown around, 41-year-old good old Joe Flacco. So, Mariah, before I share my feelings, I want to get your take on this.
Yes.
If the Silver and Black were to bring in a veteran QB, who would be the first option you'd like to see?
Oh, give me Uncle Kirk Cousins, please. All right, he already has the rapport with Clint Kubiak. They spent 3 seasons together in Minnesota. 2 years, Kubiak was his QB coach. Then he was his OC for a year. So he already knows what's in the bag, what he's working with when it comes to Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins has enough in said bag to move the Raiders along while presumably, Fernando Mendoza gets his feet wet, learns the system a little bit more, and learns behind a true veteran quarterback. The Raiders obviously have the cap space to sign him to a short-term deal. And you just look at the mentality of these two guys. If you ask me, what is Fernando Mendoza going to be like just from a personal mentality standpoint when he's 37 years old? Look no further than Uncle Kirk. He's a high character guy. He's a good man. They both are very faith-based. But on the field now, we saw Kirk Cousins this past year. He filled in as a guest analyst on CBS Sports, did an incredible job breaking down the game in such a digestible way. And while maybe the player to analyst skill set doesn't always translate, I feel as though the ability to discuss the game and break it down will translate to a mentor coaching role. So I like that.
1,000% in that quarterback coaching room. And I think, listen, we got to know Kirk a little bit better with that Netflix show, Quarterback. He's a very likable dude. Who knows? They're both a little maybe corny, him and Fernando Mendoza, in a good way. I don't know if Fernando likes, what is it, Fresh Clips? Is that where Kirk Cousin goes to get his hair cut?
Hey, listen,
Sport Clips?
I covered him in Minnesota, and it was the highlight of my day just being able to stand there and get sound from him after each game.
He's an underrated guy. He maximized his potential, but there's another guy who maximized his potential. Not the guys with the greatest gifts, but guys who really did a good job sustaining a career in the NFL, and that's my dude from New Jersey. Born in Voorhees, New Jersey, just down the street from me. Played at Audubon for the Green Wave. I know James loves those old school high school t-shirts, the tees with the Green Wave. Joe Flacco, Audubon Joe. This is a guy played for the Delaware Blue Hens. What does he do? He comes into the NFL at a 6'6", 245 weight. What is Fernando Mendoza? 6'5", 245. Very similar builds.
They have the same weight, so they need to be together.
A similar stature. They're going to be pocket quarterbacks. I think Fernando has a little bit more athleticism and mobility than traditionally Joe had, even while he was with the Ravens. But Joe is a guy who maximized his potential. Sometimes it's not about the Cam Wards and the Kyler Murrays who have all these gifts. It's about the guys who actually live up and do more with the less they have. This is a guy, he was a Super Bowl MVP, won a Super Bowl with the Ravens, and he went on and became a comeback player of the year. So to me, it's the same thing you and I are feeling. We just don't want drama. That's why I didn't want Kyler. That's why I don't want Derek Carr coming back. I want somebody who's a traditional bridge quarterback who can help teach, mentor, and just give Fernando Mendoza the keys so he can be successful in the future. And I think Joe Flacco is even less drama than Kirk Cousins. I think more people are going to think Kirk still has it. There's all those guys. There's always the guy, the one dude at the bar who's always like, Kirk Cousins, a Hall of Famer. This guy still got, no, he doesn't.
No, he's not Matt Stafford. He's
not
Kirk.
But I just think Joe Flacco, it's a little less drama. That's why I would like to see him. He's a little just more below, low key. Okay.
Well, I mean, Joe has proven time and time again, you can drop him in at a moment's notice and he will still deliver at least adequately.
He's 41.
Yes, right. And he's from Jersey, so that's the most important part, right?
Exactly.
It's just the Jersey tie there. But let's switch it up a little bit and talk some hockey. VGK is at home tonight taking on the Buffalo Sabres. The Knights are hoping to build some momentum as they're coming off a 4-0 win over the Blackhawks.
Yeah, but it's going to be a tough task tonight as the Sabres are the top of the heat in the Atlantic Division with 88 points. VGK, though, got to string some wins together. They're currently sitting behind the Ducks in second place of the Pacific Division. Puck drop is set for 7.
As for the latest in the WNBA and the never-ending CBA negotiations, the League and Players Association are on to day 8 of lengthy conversations in New York City. Over 90 hours of discussions have been logged since last Tuesday. My head hurts just reading that. There is optimism, though, that an agreement will be reached. However, at this rate, exhibition games are in jeopardy of being nixed with everything the league needs to accomplish ahead of the season opener on May 8th.
Man, I can't imagine what those PowerPoints and Zoom meetings are after 90 hours of conversations.
Gross.
All right, well, coming up, We're talking all about the college basketball crown. It's back for the second year. We got an insider, the guy on the call, breaking it all down for us. That's when Silver State Sports Live returns.
You're watching Silver State Sports Live.
Postseason college basketball play has expanded beyond March Madness and the NIT. Right here in Vegas, we are getting a front row seat to another tournament, the Crown, a single elimination format featuring 8 programs.
Yes, and here to talk all about it is longtime college basketball analyst who will be on the call for the tournament, Tim Brando. Tim, thank you so much for joining us. Let's start with this bracket because it was released yesterday afternoon. What teams are we going to see here in Vegas, and what makes some of these programs so intriguing?
Well, the best part of it is we're only having 8 teams this year as opposed to 16. I think the primary reason for that was there was talk that the NCAA might expand the tournament from 68 teams to 76. And in lieu of that, we decided, you know what, let's just get the 8 best, most familiar teams that were on the precipice of making the NCAAs and yet fell short. Oklahoma was the first team on the at-large 11 line that didn't get in. So they were the last team to have a crack at getting in the NCAAs that didn't. And that's a big boon for this event. And also, because they're an SEC team, Fox doesn't have a current contract with the Southeastern Conference or with the ACC, and that's where Stanford is playing now. So to have those teams out of those other 2 power conferences to go along with Big 12 teams and Big 10 teams means everyone that's in a major power conference that's not in the NCAA tournament, that had good years and had hopes to have better ones, that believe that they can go to the tournament next year, as Nebraska did this season. You know, they're in the NCAAs after having a historic season after winning the inaugural crown a year ago. So that's what makes this so very big in our minds at Fox. We'd like to think that this time of year, the greatest part about March, the NCAA tournament over a 3-week period, is we got a lot of basketball. But the week of the Final Four, after the regional finals are played, listen, I did 18 of them at CBS and loved it. But the worst part about the Final Four was the week of it, you only got 3 games, and people were starving to watch more basketball with big name teams out of power conferences. And this now gives us a chance to give the public more basketball to watch at a time when they're salivating for more. And that's why it's worked so well. I think it's also been great for those teams that believe that they want to finish their season with a championship, something that they can propel themselves into some great vibes with, as Nebraska did, going into the 26-27 season.
Yeah, Tim, it's like a bread basket at a restaurant. You dive in and you just want to keep eating, even after you go through a couple of those babies. Listen, you know, this is just the second year of the tournament's existence. So how has it evolved since last year, and what can people really expect?
As I said, we had 16 teams last year, and frankly, it was hard to prepare for it. I got in there the day before the game, and some of the teams I had seen, but a lot of them I hadn't seen. And I remember a couple of them were practicing out in Henderson, you know, outside the city limits at a high school. And I went and spent time watching these players. Some of them didn't know how many guys they were going to have available to them on their roster. Remember, the transfer portal and NIL era had just begun. And so rosters were depleted. Some of the teams' coaches had already been fired, and they had interim coaches. So it was a challenge for guys like me who pride themselves on being well prepared to call any college basketball game, because everyone that's on matters, and it matters a lot to the kids that are playing, their families, and also the fans of the schools. This year with 8, I think it's going to be that much more fun. And because you've eliminated a round, you're talking about teams knowing that 3 wins and they are a champion. You know, you win the quarters, you win in the semis, and you're playing for a title. So compartmentalizing it the way we have to go from 16 to 8, I think was smart on two fronts. Easier to get the right teams, the teams that most of the public wants to see, because they know they had some momentum going. And basketball junkies know who's good and who's not. By this time of year, the eyeballs that we're looking to attract are people that, let's just say, they know basketball and they know it enough to bet on it, right? So they really want to see those teams, and they want the action that comes from it. And Las Vegas is the perfect place. The MGM Grand is such a great location, and the kids and the coaches are being treated like royalty. They come in on wonderful charter planes, and they're playing for money. They're playing for $500,000 of NIL cash. And, you know, you can't say that about the other tournaments.
No,
and
that's
trust
true.
me, I'm a historian as well as anyone. I mean, I called my fair share of NIT games in the 80s and 90s at ESPN when this old dinosaur got his career going. And that's a great tournament. But right now, that tournament is made up primarily of mid-major schools. Only 4 power conference teams are playing in it. And Auburn is playing in it primarily because their coach, Stephen Pearl, was concerned that by the time April 1st came around, about half his roster might be going to the NBA.
Gotcha.
So
All right.
that's
Tim.
why
All right, we got to go to the break.
But we're happy to have Oklahoma.
We are looking forward to April 1st. Tim, we will have you on in the weeks leading up to it. Thank you so much for your time. Unfortunately, we got to go to break, but thank you. We will see you in April.
All right, coming up, we got some WBC talk coming up. We'll be right back.
There it is, Lone Depot Park, the home of the WBC final between USA and Venezuela going down tonight. We'll see you guys tomorrow with our reactions.